Hey, what's going on, Podcast Nation? It's Jason Harris here, and thank you for joining me on another episode of The Drive Las Vegas edition. I'm here with one, the only, the famous, the infamous, infamous, I'll go with that one.
All right, fine.
Matthew Davis with Trade Pending. Matthew, thanks for taking the time to come chat.
Thanks for coming. And when you said hey, let's do a video shoot in a van, I was kind of worried initially, but this seems legit.
This is legitimate.
It's okay.
This is well. Look, I've been a big fan of what you guys have been doing, and I think it's so cool for us to get a chance to kind of sit here and really kind of jam about it. And also, there's just so many new things going on with you guys,
Totally.
and just what. So actually, let's start with this because I love kicking off these podcasts with a little origin story, right? Because I don't think anybody just kind of wakes up one day and goes, "Yeah, let me go do automotive." That
right.
Sounds awesome, right? So I'm curious, just for yourself, man. Like, how'd you get in automotive?
How do we end up here?
Yeah,
it all starts. So my background has been a mix of entrepreneurship, sales, and marketing, and kind of all jumbled up there and together. So my first business was weaving and selling baskets to my parents' friends. I was probably 10 years old, right?
Nice.
And I'm like, oh my God, I can make like $40. Of course, I'm actually like weaving reeds and everything. So anyway, did that. Held just an embarrassing number of types of jobs. But in college, I started a window washing business.
All right.
So washed windows, pressure washed for 5 years.
Yeah.
Sold that business. Sold mortgages for a few years, and then got into selling software. So software for a decade, all B2B software. So it's almost most of my career has been in business to business. Went back to business school to get the business degree and basically been selling. I was tired of selling, and I wanted to do my own business again. So I did that. I'm in business school full-time in the evenings, but then working full-time in the day. And then my wife, we had a boy already, then we had twins. So then I quit my job to actually start a new business. So I'm making no money. I've got 3 kids under 3, and I'm going to school full-time in the evenings. I don't recommend that approach.
No.
That business went out. We ran out of money.
Yep.
We did everything right except make money. And so from there, then I shifted over. One of our mentors in the startup was a CEO at a company, still is. And so I went to work for him, ran his marketing team. And that was my jump from sales into marketing. So I've been marketing software now for a decade. And basically had burned out on that space and did some consulting for a little bit. And one of the companies I consulted with was Trade Pending, was friends with Bryce Englert, the CEO. Spent 6 months consulting with them. Like, this is fun. This industry is bonkers.
Yeah.
I mean that in a very good way. Like, we can have a ton of fun here. And so Trade Pending already had kind of a great kind of tongue-in-cheek sense of humor. That kind of fits right in with my vibe and my style. So all right, let me take what they built. Let me see if I can amplify that and take it a step further. That was my origin story plus a little bit extra.
Well, I mean, it's amazing how you kind of stumbled into it, right? What I'll tell you this: once you're in the automotive business, man, you're in. It gets in under your skin. It's in your blood, and you just can't get it.
It's so much fun. I've been at it for 4 years now. It's a great time.
It is so much fun. Okay, so let's talk about Trade Pending. I mean, so many cool things going on. Really appreciate what you guys are doing and kind of putting together. This ecosystem of different solutions. To really kind of help a dealership's operation. So for everybody out there watching and listening, that don't know anything about Trade Pending, all right, just let's kind of do the rundown for them real quick.
All right, so we're really into kind of 3 main buckets today, and that's through building our own products. That's through acquisition. The first bucket is all about making your website work better.
Yes.
So the fancy word for that is website optimization or website conversion. We're most known originally for our trade-in tool. You slap this thing on your site, consumers trade their contact information for a trade-in range on their car, right?
Yes.
That product has been gangbusters for us. Been doing that since 2014. 4,000 rooftops doing that today currently. Then from there, the next turn of that is single price offers and guaranteed single price offers. So there's more motivated shoppers. You take them a little bit farther down the funnel. They're willing to spend more time with you. That's our offer product. You're going to catch a theme here. Our products are named kind of what they do. The next product in that bucket would be payments. That was through our acquisition of Auto APR. Again, it's kind of recognizing that some people just want to come to your site and very quickly get an estimated payment on their car. They don't want to go through a 30-minute digital retailing process. Some do, but not all.
Yep.
And so it does a phenomenal job at converting that website traffic into leads, into payment conversations. So that's bucket number 1. making your website better. Bucket number 2 is all about making it easier for salespeople to sell cars.
For sure.
Right. So first kind of little product there is called Badges. It is essentially real-time market data on every piece of inventory that you have. It's things like, hey, this car is a fast seller in your market. This car has a popular engine. It has rare trim. Like it only sits on the lot for 22 days. Builds value, create urgency. It's all automatically populated. And as a salesperson, you can look at that. And when somebody says like, hey, can you knock $500 off that car? $1,000? You're like, well, actually, look at this thing. Like, it sells in an average of 5 days, and there's only 3 of them within 500 miles. We got one right here, so we got a great deal. So that's Badges. We take that to the next level with Auto Bio. That's one of our newest products, and that is essentially
that's a cool one. I dig this.
Yeah,
one.
digital brochures, right? So
yes.
the whole idea here is whether a person is in store or online, you want to give them one spot, i.e. you, to do all their vehicle research, to get the Carfax, get the window sticker.
It's a storytelling. You know what I mean? And then I got to say, Risa said I just recently saw 80% of the sales team inside of a dealership right now has only been in the automotive industry 2 or less years.
Right. A lot of COVID hires in there too. Right?
Yeah, 100%. A lot of COVID hires out there, right? And I hate to say it. No, don't get me wrong. There's some amazing operators out there, but it's become, I think, a lost art of storytelling. That for me, that's kind of how I built my career, was just this ability to kind of storytell the benefits of the dealership and why they should do business with us, storytell the benefits of the vehicle and why they should ultimately purchase the vehicle. And that's kind of been lost. And you guys built this really cool piece of tech that really assists in that.
Yeah, and so when you think about like having all that research in one spot, the consumers love it because they can stay in one spot and get it. But it's great for we're still in bucket 2 here, making it easier to sell cars. And that is every salesperson is now an expert on every vehicle on your lot, new and used. So they don't have to go hunting down for all this information about it. They can pull it up right there. And so what's great about it is that the more you send of these things, the more you will sell, because people will stay with you. They will stay engaged with your brand. You're top of mind for them. We just got story after story where new reps are sending these out to every single lead that they get.
Of course.
And they are rising up the ranks to be the top salesperson in the dealership.
Well, and I think that's really cool, because a lot of your guys' tool sets are kind of built for that. It's to really assist the person. Right. And assist the dealership in time management, making things more efficient. But really kind of like super armoring, the salesperson, to really drive home a process-driven experience, And okay, so anything else?
We're still on like bucket 2.
That's what I'm saying, guys. There's a lot here.
Let's wrap up bucket 2, and so then the last bit of that, making it easier to sell cars. It's video. So this is through our SnapSell acquisition. You and I love talking about video because we do a lot of video. Yes. But you can just see like this is for both sales and for service. It's extremely powerful in the sales cycle when you can get that lead and say, hey, I'm Matthew. I'm your salesperson. I'm going to be working with you. I love working here at this dealership. We got great people. Here's where you're going to find me. Walk in the door, see me right here. Like, it sells cars. People will drive past other dealerships to come to you because you took the time to send them a video introduction. And of course, there's like almost an infinite number of touch points you can use video there across sales and service. But that is easily one of the hottest things we're seeing right now in terms of adoption.
Sure. And absolutely. Like I said, you're making it easier to sell cars, and you have this beautiful bucket of kind of the solutions that are assisting in that. Okay, so that's bucket 2.
Bucket 2. So bucket 1,
yes,
make your website convert better. Bucket 2, make it easier to sell cars. Bucket 3, make it easier to retain your customers, keep them loyal. And so that comes right back to video as well in the service drive, building trust by saying like, hey, look, your tires are in great shape. This is in bad shape. Like your brakes are in bad shape. So you got to point out the good and the bad. Or if nothing's bad, shoot, when somebody brings it in, you get the MPI done and say, hey, everything's great. And the next time when they get that video and something's wrong, they're going to believe you.
Right? 100%. Well, it creates that confidence. We talk about retention. Retention's not a new concept. We've been coming up with strategies for retention for many, many years. But here's what I find about retention: it's never one big thing.
No.
It's a lot about the little things that we do, and not necessarily what we do, because look, at the end of the day, the customer knows what you do, right? There's a 30-foot sign outside that says what you do, right? But why you do it the way you do it, it's that commitment, all right, to the operations, commitment to that process, and those little things the customers really feel.
Right.
They really feel it.
It's super important. And so we'll kind of wrap this whole segment up of what does trade pending do here. The last bit of it, service offers, service marketing, right? And that is through our acquisition of Fixed Ops Digital and Owen Moon and his team. They've been phenomenal people, phenomenal product. And just takes the best way to describe it, it turns your website into a service marketing machine. Just really clearly and easily. Here's our offers, here's the specials. It syncs those across the marketing channel so you don't have different messages going out to different spots, right? Also, a phenomenal opportunity here just because of how little service marketing is actually done and the fact that how profitable it is and how it's getting harder to sell cars. So any dealership that is looking to juice that bottom line, work on that absorption rate, like this is the product to check out.
100%. And, and like I said, I mean, what you've done here is just put this beautiful, multi-bucket solution, to really assist the dealers. And the one thing I can really admire is that you guys have, you're customer centric, but dealer process focused. So I'd like to kind of talk a little bit about the processes. I find, sometimes we come in with these pieces of technology and we're kind of like the technology is just going to come with this pre-built process.
Right.
But you guys have got this just great menu of technology that supports the dealership's process. And what would you say would be one of the most important processes that we should be focusing on, or maybe a handful of processes the dealership should be focusing on?
Yeah, I mean, as it really relates to us and in general, right, it's all about how you handle that lead flow.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So if you've got a tightly dialed in process, here's what happens with every single lead. And here's how we're going to report on it. Here's how we're going to hold you accountable to it. Here's how we're going to measure you on it. Here's how we're going to recognize when you're not in it so we can coach you on it. Right. That's one of the biggest pieces, whether it's a sales lead or a service lead. If you got the BDC,
Exactly.
So right, if you can say like, yep, every lead that comes in, we're going to read the lead, we're going to understand like, what are they trying to trade in? What's their vehicle of interest? What kind of payment are they looking for? What kind of cars are they looking at? And then using that video outreach is like, hey, thanks for this. We're looking forward to talking to you. We got this one in stock. That one's out of stock, whatever, right? If you can have that process dialed in and get people bought into it, really it's the management buy-in first that matters most.
It does.
That is what's really, really impactful. And it's not necessarily, I think we're fortunate that our products don't require change in processes, right?
Yes, right.
It requires improvement of existing processes.
100%. And then the process is only as good as the technology that ultimately supports
That's
that.
right.
I did want to go down the rabbit hole a little bit around the trade solution.
Okay, let's go.
Right? Because there's a lot out there.
Right.
And, dealerships, I mean, I think they all realize that there is a solution needed here.
Mm-hmm.
There's something that's definitely required here. What really kind of separates your guys' trade solution from the rest of them?
You gotta understand the landscape of tools that are out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have very basic forms, like put in your information, you'll hear back from us, right? Please don't do that.
Yes.
Just do anything, but don't do that.
Yeah.
Then you've got the trade-in range tools, right? If you do it right, very quickly, you just put in some contact information, get a range, right? We do that.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's the next step, like answer some more questions, get a single price offer. There's that. Then you've got kind of the full-blown, like answer 80 questions, upload pictures, do a full appraisal, right? Great solutions, right?
For sure.
So where we play, we're mostly in kind of that early stage, upper funnel, like get people involved, get them in the conversation.
Oh, that's the key. Conversation. Get them into the
Right,
conversation.
right. And so we are really great at converting that website traffic into leads through the trade-in tool, through our trade products, through our offer products. So it's kind of a marketing position. You have to understand that that's what we're doing, right? If you were trying to convert your website traffic into leads, don't use a DR tool.
Yes.
Don't use a full-blown appraisal tool, right? You need those, but don't misunderstand what they're actually good at. They're not good at that. So there's that. So then when you look at the landscape of, right, well, who's actually given trade-in ranges and offers on cars, what really sets us apart is people ask us, well, what book do you use?
Yeah,
like,
right.
Like we don't use a book, right?
I remember having an indent in my dress pants where I would kept my black book at. I mean, I know I'm dating myself now, but
right. So we're looking at real-time local market data. So we start as close to the dealership as we can. Somebody's trading in a 2018 Camry. We're looking to see how many 2018 Camrys are for sale or have sold. And we've got the algorithms in place. I'd like to say, ooh, it's AI, whatever. Like, AI is a little overhyped. We can talk about that later. There's some cool stuff out there. But anyway, a really, really smart approach to how to weight that and measure that. And then you just kind of expand out from there to find, a minimum of 30 vehicles that are the same, right? And so from there, by looking at the retail ask prices, you can actually have a sense of what dealers are selling it for. You don't have to look at wholesale values. You don't have to look at book values, and you update it daily. That's probably the biggest thing that we still have to educate people on is like, why would you look something that updates every month, every 6 months, every
Sure.
week when you can have something that is real-time focused and with the ability from our side to configure it? If you are the type of dealer that wants to be conservative and have your numbers try to be as close as possible, do that. If you want to make the bands a little bit wider, make them more aggressive because you have an acquisition strategy, you want to source more vehicles, like do that. So we give you that control and configurability. So those are the two big ones, kind of looking at the market in real time, not looking at books, not looking at wholesale, but then also having the ability to configure that so that it matches your strategy.
Yes, 100%. Well, and again, it just betters our operations, creates more of a customer centric approach to it. And like I said, I think one of the biggest things when I was kind of listening to it is just to me. I don't know if I necessarily want to call it a lead generation. It's more like conversation generation.
Mm-hmm.
Because like trading in your vehicle, it to me is not a lead form as much as it is a conversation, right? Getting a valuation on a car, and I'm with you. It doesn't come from 80 questions and a bunch of pictures. Like I want to have a conversation with a person, right? I mean, I want to understand, why they value it that way, and I want to understand what I can provide that will assist and help them in better valuation. I mean, looks like if I had a customer come in, trade in their vehicle, and they had a manila folder this thick with service records in it,
right?
I will tell you, I pay more for that.
Amen.
Like I do. Like, it's just they're able to bring that in and bring a story to it. So it requires that conversational element, and I love the fact that you guys you kind of kick it off. You're kickstarting that conversation.
I think an important piece of that, what you're getting at, is that when you have a trade-in lead, you're talking to them about their trade-in. The best dealers, best customers we have are the ones who recognize that, and the process is, tell me, why are you thinking about trading in this car? As opposed to, hey, we see you got a trade-in. When can you come in? We got these other cars for sale.
Yes. Well, okay, that's
right. When you cars,
it's not really trading it in when it's contingent on the fact that I need to buy a vehicle.
Cars are so emotional, and so when you can tap into that emotion, it's like, why are you thinking of trading in? You're probably going to be entertained because you're going to get some great stories, but then you are getting to the truth of somebody, and like you're understanding what's making them tick, and you're going to understand how to get them into a better next car.
Well, and I think that's, if you're out there watching and listening right now, what me and Matthew are kind of alluding to here is that, trading in it's not necessarily a fixated 12-point process, right? Like it's not like I need to do this and then I need to do this and then I need to do this that ultimately, get to a final destination. But it's a conversation, and I think that some of the best operators out there, and if you are because you're watching and listening right now, all right, but that's how they're approaching them. They're approaching them as this amazing opportunity to have a conversation around something that they're emotionally connected to, and I think that's the way we have to treat it. And I see the best operators do that as well.
Indeed.
Let's get into payments. Customers today, there's just, I think there's this price shock. It's like, what happened? I bought that Suburban 5 years ago, so it's so insanely important for dealerships to figure out a way to be incredibly transparent in their pricing.
Yeah. Indeed. And so if you're thinking about payments, I can walk you kind of through the same approach, and you got to understand what your options are out there. You have the basic just calculator, right? Which please don't do that because it takes into account zero, any extra fees, credit, right? Yep. So you're going to end up somebody with just a bad number that now you got to talk your way out of, and they're going to not trust you. They're instead of the tool, right? So but there's the basic ones. Then you got the third-party banks, right? Great brand recognition there from having that on your site, but they're more interested in taking you off your site. They want that money, right? They want that F&I process. So you're kind of removing your F from the F&I process.
Yep.
They'll put even the numbers for their banks. So call them, right? So don't call, right? So that's an option. It works well for some people, and sometimes there's monetary incentives that have that on there that then go away. But anyway, that's another story. Then you've got the digital retailing process.
Yes. Great
for what it is. If you're going to walk people through a process, and you want to try to handle everything all at once, and is basically try to sell a car online, have a super lead. Can be a great approach for those really motivated shoppers. That's going to be single digit percentages. And you have the world that we play in, which is kind of like the payment calculator on steroids. Browse inventory by what you can afford, right? Super quick, takes less than a minute to go through that process. You can easily see what that payment's going to be. You can have a soft pull on your credit, so you get in a tighter range on that number. We are phenomenal at capturing those early stage buyers. So then you have this inflection point now where affordability is a big concern. Like, hey, there's
huge.
not a lot.
Everybody's got
not a lot of affordable new vehicles out there. So everyone's after a finite number of used inventory, and so then, well, how do you help people understand what they can afford quickly, so that they can continue that process
easily, right? So, like,
right?
you know, I mean, but I mean, I'm so glad you brought that up, because I mean, you know, affordability is probably one of the number one concerns out there right now. And, you know, I've been on a handful of websites, and what do I got to go do? Like, do 16 different builds and prices until I ultimately get to something that I think is going to be affordable. But you guys kind of took a different direction towards. I can actually come directly to the tool and tell them my affordability,
right?
And you guys are able to identify the vehicles that are appropriate for me.
Yes, I mean, the people are coming to your site. They either like know what their monthly payment is going to be and want to shop by that, or they know the car.
Yeah,
right?
Yes, that's right.
And like
that's right.
and the payment. So like we can handle both of those approaches, so that people are going to stick around on your site, right? If you don't have that flexibility, then that's why you see people like bounce into 4, 5, 6 different sites to try to find what they're looking for.
Of course. And again, that just enhances that experience, right, before it comes into, but also kind of creates, but the process doesn't start there. And that's the one thing I think everybody needs to, you know, really kind of identify, is that creates amazing transparency online, but that transparency in that process needs to continue into the dealership.
Right.
I'm kind of fascinated with that. I mean, you guys have created this online process, but then the transition from the online to the physical, right, is where I think some of the most amazing operators out there start to really shine.
That's so hard to do right.
You know?
Right?
Yeah.
Just to have all the systems talking to one another. I mean, that's, you know, if somebody can really, really solve that,
well,
billionaires.
I think it's also just the preparation of it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, here's for me, you know, one of the things I think that can really just kind of diminish or, you know, set back in experience is that I go do this research online, and same thing with trade valuation as well, right? Like, I went through this process, and you guys, your tool, and then I come to the dealership and I get entirely different information. You know, so that and I think that's maybe just kind of the cautionary tale here, you know, with some of these tools for the dealerships out there watching listening right now, is that you guys really got to focus on just, you know, you're creating this amazing online experience, but how do you transition that online experience into your physical experience?
That's so hard, because when they come in and they get different numbers, they don't, like, it's not like they're not trusting the tool, they're not trusting you.
Exactly.
And it's the tools and having them talk together. And by the way, this is the first time I'm seeing the Luxor giant Dorito. I would just like to take a moment.
Well, because marketing people, right? We have to admire the fact that they turned the entire hotel into a full-size Dorito.
And like, I almost want to go lick it, but you should never lick anything in Las Vegas. It's public.
If we need any soundbite, that's the one that we need. Don't lick anything in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
I knew this was going to be fun. Okay, let's transition a little bit over to kind of the fixed ops side.
Yeah.
You know, because again, you just have this amazing set of tools, and I really think it from the retention perspective, because we talked a little bit about retention before, right? And I am 100% convinced that over the next 5 years, retention doesn't come from the sales side as much as it comes from the fixed ops side,
right?
You know, and you guys have put together some really cool tools that really assist in both retention, but also the conquesting of new customers into the service department. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, let's start with Fixed Ops Digital. We acquired that. Owen Moon and his team, right? We just saw like they had done a great job of making it really simple to market service offers on a website, right? That sounds like it should be easy to do, but it's really not, right? You can update prices, but then like, how do you actually take it to the next level of that? How are you communicating with customers that, yes, here are the specials, here are the offers. How do you update them and sync them across all the various channels that you have? That's where it starts to get really unwieldy.
Yep.
They had a great solution for that, and it's fit really nicely into the trade pending portfolio, because we understand what it's like to have technology on a website to make your website better. That's one of the things we do.
For sure, for sure. But you're right. And again, it's about making things simple, making things easier. All right, but also streamlining that. One of the most top visited pages for a dealership's website is their service specials, and I find that even more so now, just because everything's just costing more. The consumer is
Right.
more aware of this. They are looking, for that. But also, I think there's an opportunity in those offers themselves, and really in the sense of also creating loyalty and thanking people
Right.
for their continued business with us.
We go to any other site on the internet and there's prices for what you're buying, and there's just still an amazing amount of dealership websites that do not have any pricing for service. And admittedly, there's some nuances in there you got to handle, you got to
Yes.
be prepared for.
Yes.
But it's the freaking 2020s. Let's list prices, right? That's just kind of the step number one, right?
Yeah.
Because if you don't have that, those people are going to bounce off your site. They're going to be afraid, like, I'm going to get overcharged. I'm going to walk in there and it's going to be wicked expensive, and now I've wasted my time. Like, I'm going to go over here to Jiffy Fast Place,
Sure.
and I know it's going to be $49.99 or whatever.
Well, and then that's at least what
and then they're going to upsell me like air filters and all this stuff, and it's going to be a $300. Well, I'm poking fun there.
But no, there is some truth to that, right? There is kind of this misconception. I mean, you do have to kind of admire what some of these non-franchise service entities have done. Is they've done a better job of branding themselves as
That's right.
As the more affordable solution. But the data's there. The reality is that
If the
it's
prices
not.
are just like neck and neck.
They're very, very similar. In some cases, even more so, right? So it's like, but I think that's, look, for the dealerships out there, this is your responsibility, to educate your customers. I mean, I have to think of it this way. And I always think it's kind of funny, right? A dealership's website, let's say, indexes 300, 400, 500 pages, right? Because every single piece of inventory gets some page, right? There's like 2 pages dedicated to the department that will literally cover 100% of your
That's right.
expenses every month.
Right.
Like, I just don't think it's a fair shake, and you guys have come with a solution that allows the dealerships to create some really rich content pages. Very simple.
A single person can manage it in a few minutes a week, right? It's that simple, right? So, Jason, let me get your thoughts on something here, right? So, I think that 2024 is the year of service marketing, right? I'm calling it.
100%.
But, right, there's definitely some trepidation out there. Like, hey, like, I'm already like 2 or 3 weeks out. Like, I don't have enough techs on. Like, how to,
Sure.
like, you can have amazing technology. How do you kind of get back to that people side of things? How are you seeing your dealerships handle that from the staffing side, or like the ones that want to grow versus those that don't?
Well, and it does really have to become a team conversation, right? Because when I talk to upper management, I have yet to find an upper management that says they don't want to grow their business.
Okay. Right.
And so that's why I think the first thing is team alignment, right? And look, I was a service manager, I was a service director. I have nothing but empathy, all right, for the shit show sometimes that can be going on in
Oh my
the
gosh,
back,
I can't
in the
even
back
imagine.
of a dealership, and I understand the stresses and the demands of managing so many people, personalities, customers' needs, customers' requirements. I mean, look, I've yet to meet a customer that gets super excited about having to service their vehicle. do you know what I mean? Like, so this is something that needs to happen, right? And it should be our objective and our goal to try to make it as enjoyable as possible. So there's all this tremendous amount of stress, and I 100% emphasize with that stress, but you can't use these excuses to the fact that you can't grow your business, right? Like, here's the thing: if you have a technician problem, you don't have a technician problem. You had a technician problem. It's just now it's become to the point where it was an obvious thing. If you find it, like, some of the best operators out there, hiring for them is not light switches. You don't turn them on and off.
No, right.
They are always in the path of hiring and bringing in talent, or at least developing and growing new talent and trying to get new fresh blood into it. And it's just, I mean, that's what we have to do. And then, of course, you will find the real operators out there, the ones that are just like, nope, bring more. We're gonna handle this. We're gonna figure it out. But I think the very, very, very first thing, and I'll go back to it, is team alignment. We can have a real conversation about this. But you know what? It's funny because, like, I even think team alignment on just trade values. We're going back to that. I mean,
Right.
I just remember sometimes you get the new car and used car department literally pinged against each other, right? I remember literally breaking up a fight once between my new car manager and my used car manager because used car manager wasn't there. All right, they did a deal came back in. New car manager needed to hit an objective, all right, and decided to adjust the trade up another $1,000. And I'm like, that's not team alignment.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
you have to be aligned with your trade process, right? Collectively, entirely as a management team, you have to be aligned with your servicing needs completely and utterly, right? I mean, what's one of the worst things that happened to me as a sales manager? I go sell a vehicle, right? And then I hand this amazing relationship that I created over to my fixed ops department, and the first time they call in to get an oil change, they'll be like, "I'll be 3 weeks from now."
Right. Yep. It's tough.
Like, but yes, 100%. It's all about team alignment. But it's utilizing pieces of technology like you guys have put together, all right, to create that team alignment. And I love just the different buckets and landscapes you put together. I know we're getting towards the tail end of our time, and we could easily chat for a much longer point than this. But this has been a lot of fun, Matthew, and I really, really appreciate your time. Before I let you go, though, for everybody out there watching and listening right now who would love to connect with yourself or learn more about trade pending and all these amazing tools, what's the best way to do so?
Tradepending.com. And anybody can hit me up at Matthew@tradepending.com. Easy.
That's great. That's awesome.
2 T's, not 1 T.
Hey, thank you so much for watching. You guys have an amazing day.